Thank you very much. Praise the name of the Lord. Good morning, everyone. It gives me a great privilege to say a few words at this wonderful occasion, and I dressed the part to celebrate with my friend, my brother, my pastor, my apostle, Tunde Bakare. So I wrote a few words down so I wouldn't just go off. So let me just read what I've written here. Congratulations, Pastor Tunde Bakare, on a very remarkable 70th birthday celebration. My wife, Nkoyo, and I, that's my wife, Nkoyo, there. We're deeply honored to join you, Pastor Laide, your children and grandchildren, on this joyous occasion. We're also here to felicitate with the church family of the Citadel. I would like to say this morning that Pastor Tunde Bakare has played a very pivotal role in my life from the moment we met him. He and I share a strong, unwritten bond of friendship and loyalty that has undergirded our relationship since 1986, 38 years ago. And even in the lounge this morning, as we said a few words of prayer, we could still sense that bond of friendship and loyalty. Pastor Tunde, I want to say thank you to you for your faithful friendship. 1986 was the year our paths crossed at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Cemetery Street, Ebutemeta. I had just turned 29 and I was basking in the joy of my newfound faith. Pastor Tunde Bakare stood out at that time, 32 years old, always in church, always on the first row, always well-dressed. Always dancing. You could tell that this man was a leader. We didn't quite know him at the time, but we could always see this man in front, fervent, passionate, and zealous about the things of God. And in the midst of a very traditional, older congregation, Pastor Tunde's dynamism was unshakable. And I, as a young medical doctor, newly introduced to the church, we found in Pastor Tunde a role model that exemplified leadership. It was through his intervention at the time the church began a program called the English-Speaking Church, because he had campaigned that professionals were now coming to the church and needed to have a more vibrant community that they could relate to. Pastor Tunde, thank you for that. So Pastor Tunde's unwavering commitment to his faith and his, what I call his infectious enthusiasm, left an indelible mark on my early Christian journey. And Pastor Tunde was actually the beacon and standard for the professionals who were now rapidly coming into Christianity at that time. When my wife Nkoyo and I got married the following year, having our families choose the Roman Catholic Church for the wedding, we then sought a speaker for the reception. We wanted someone who could intelligently and dynamically address our mixed crowd of friends and family members, many who were still trying to understand the spiritual path my wife and I had chosen. It was Pastor Tunde Bakare, who brought an exceptional oratorial skill to our reception. At that time, delivering a powerful and a rousing sermon at a wedding reception that left such a lasting impact on those who heard him on that day. And this was the beginning of a friendship and a trend that will recur at various points in my life. Pastor Tunde Bakare stood out as someone who helped us define the vibrancy of the new Pentecostal experience that was becoming increasingly popular at the time. Then his appointment as the pastor of the very first model parish of the Redeemed Christian Church of God at Ikeja at that time was met with our delight. And we were posted out with Pastor Tunde to join the team to start this fresh work. And I was personally glad to have gone with him because I was getting a little restless at the headquarters church, which had become a little bit staid and traditional. And Ikeja Parish became an experience that would define my own future work in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. I remember one service when the pastor had asked us to please pray for something special. Pastor Deboy at the time said, pray for something special. I was sitting right next to Pastor Tunde. I didn't even know what to pray for, so I whispered to him, I can hear people praying for a lot of things. What should I pray for? That was the kind of mentor Pastor Tunde was. Without hesitation, he leaned over and said, ask God for the world. So with all sincerity, I said, Lord, give me the world. Pastor Tunde, God answered your prayers. Because shortly after, I began to travel the world, and 7 to 8 months, I was out of the country, planting churches at the time for the Redeemed Christian Church of God. But that new parish opened with pomp and pageantry, and Pastor Tunde Bakare's energy was infectious. His action-oriented nature and spontaneity carried everyone along, beginning to attract the youth like a magnet. Pastor Tunde was as convincing as he was compelling, and honestly never gave anyone a chance to say no. And over the years, we have seen a man who has consistently modeled what he believed in, standing for truth and integrity in every situation. So I have long since come to recognize Pastor Tunde as a titan, a man with a unique gift that commands, I was going to say fear, but I'll say both respect and admiration. Pastor Tunde is charismatic, he's bold, he's courageous. And I cherish the memories of serving as his special intercessor at the Sunday morning service. We would, 4 or 5 of us, would sit behind him and pray throughout the period he was preaching. And then I had the privilege of being his master of ceremonies at any of his special events. At my 40th birthday, I was in a season of rebuilding and restructuring my life. Having left the Redeemed Christian Church of God, we drew inspiration from Pastor Tunde Bakare's courage as he too had left to explore his next level of purpose and destiny. And his bold step gave us the courage to explore our own next level of change. So Pastor Tunde came alongside us with the moral support we needed at the time to make that very pivotal and significant move in our lives. Then my 50th birthday marked a critical moment of spiritual maturity. It was also Pastor Tunde Bakare we turned to for guidance and association, especially at a party we organized to commemorate the occasion. That deep bond and affection that undergird our relationship was affirmed by the very special message he gave at that occasion that had a significant mix of guests who had come to celebrate with me. Even though we may not see Pastor Tunde Bakare as often as we desire or speak to him all the time, but the moments when we connect, either on a phone call or we meet, those moments still carry the sparkle of the same warmth and trust which our earliest meetings had 38 years ago. Our discussions remain immersed in an atmosphere of complete trust and transparency and integrity. And I look up to Pastor Tunde. Sometimes he's like an uncle, sometimes he's like a brother, sometimes he's like a father, sometimes he's like a pastor. But Pastor Tunde, he has so many things rolled up in one. So as Pastor Tunde Bakare turns 70, we can look back and affirm that he has lived a life worthy of emulation. Yet, we still see the unfolding of God's divine purpose in his life, reflecting on Mama's precious long life. Pastor Tunde Bakare's mom. We know that Pastor Tunde is going to be here with us for a long, long time to come. As we can see that longevity is evident in his family. So let's expect some fire in the years ahead. I think we can clap to that. You know how a welder's fire can turn from white to blue to a mellow yellow, but it's still a fire. Finally, we congratulate Pastor Tunde on his achievements as a devoted husband, father, doting godfather, a leader, and a change agent. We thank God that he is alive to enjoy the fruits of his labor and establish a lasting legacy for generations yet unborn. I personally liken Pastor Tunde to David in the Bible, a man who has fought many battles, yet he has overcome them all. I think we need to clap to that. As I close, I want to say that Pastor Tunde is like a balloon that cannot be pushed underwater. He's like the proverbial cat with 9 lives. He has defied opposition, broken boundaries in all endeavors of life. So we thank God who has given Pastor Tunde the grace, the strength, the capacity, the unyielding tenacity, even in the face of strong opposition, to achieve all he has been able to at 70. Clearly, we can say that God has been at work in his life to will and to do his good pleasure. So happy 70th birthday, man of God. We wish you many, many more years of an inspiring, adventurous, and impactful life. Thank you very much.
Keep putting those hands together. Keep clapping till he gets to his seat.